grade 3 teacher, and I looked at the papers the other day, and for a grade 3 and grade 4 that can't read and write, and there was a comprehension, a reading comprehension that the person just had to rewrite what they saw. And I tell you, I read the entire paper, and not a single word was in any A, E, I, O, U vowel setup. It was X, Y, T, G, R. I wish I'll bring a copy and show you these, and it was not one. And the fact is, that same teacher, it's in Gabriel's, have a classroom the size of a regular room, split into two. So one teacher is shouting, the other teacher is shouting, the kids are shouting, and nobody is learning. And then the ministry goes to the school and says to that teacher, well, you don't have enough aids on the blackboard. Then she has to take $20,000 out of her money to go buy paper and coloring and to put up aids on the wall. And then the ministry says, well, we're not going to pay you any better. We aren't giving you any concessions. We aren't giving you any house lots. We aren't giving you any tax deductions. But you teach our children to be better. And I see why our teachers are leaving today. We treat teachers with the disrespect. How are they going to teach our children better? And then the other problem is those same children now go home in the night, got some homework, they have blackout. There's nothing for them to do their homework, and they come back to school the next morning, and you want to know why your child is not learning. But the minister is proud of the education system. We've got to think of our children not as our future, but of our today.
Well, education is the critical factor in the world we're living in. Without a high degree of education, you can't create technology, you can't get into technology, because the understanding would not be there. And there's a massive job to be done, and all of us will have to do it. I must say the Minister of Education admitted some time ago during this year that he was surprised to learn that there are 20,000 dropouts a year. Why do kids drop out of school?
The parents can't afford the transportation. I have a young child that I help in Paradise, goes to school, I think, in Annandale. That's $60, that's close to $200 a day worth of transportation. The father can't afford $200 a day to go to school. So, wait a minute, the child would love to get a better education, but I can't afford it. So they drop out. Not because the child can't do it, the parents can't afford to do that. They have to decide whether to feed their children or send them to school. And that's where again, 16% VAT. Let's buy some school buses, paint them yellow, take our children to school for free. We aren't saying we want a lot out of our money. We want the basic things. And I think that's a sad part about our young children, is that they don't have a better future. Now, promising laptops to everybody is probably the craziest idea I've ever heard a president could do. If you plug in, and I donated a computer the other day to a student up the East Coast, and I forgot to tell them it's 110. So they went home and they plugged the darn computer into the outlet, the 220, and blew the whole thing up. $200,000 down the tubes. And so how are you going to have a laptop in your house when you don't have the electricity, stabilization? Who's going to buy the power surge? Who's going to buy the stabilizer? Where the internet access is going to come from? President needs to get real, realize that these are not the things we're looking for right now. We're looking for basic, simple things that's going to make our life better. We need technology infusion, absolutely, but we need to make sure that we put technology labs into our school. Make a curriculum. We don't even have sports in our school anymore, formalized sports. That's why we don't have cricketers around the world in West Indies doing well. You look at our playgrounds, drive by St. Joseph or North Georgetown. The grass is high, or they burn the grass. No one is playing. We got to get real with the things, yes. Forget all the politicians that talk all these great giant plans. Yes, we need to have the big radical transformation plans, but we've got to do the basic things to make our lives better.
Do you think the National Development Plan that was worked on by all the parties could have helped if it was put in place.
Absolutely. That plan is still valid today in many ways. I have taken that plan and I've revised it into a blueprint, an aggressive blueprint for change. A lot of the components have never been implemented. And you're right, you had a cross section of society, not political people alone. You had civil society, educators, the ordinary man saying these are the things that can help change Guyana. And sadly, that National Development Strategy Plan was thrown out and never implemented. And manifestos doesn't do anything.
Manifesto is all about promises.
Promises. The fact is, where have those promises delivered? And that's the message to the ordinary person out there watching this. Have your life gotten better in the last 5 years? And if it hasn't, then you've got to think how to change your thinking and potentially change your vote.
Well, Peter, I think you have a mammoth task ahead of you. The parties have been around a long time. PPP has a very good, let's say, machinery
Yes.
in terms of electoral as well as in the countryside. And they could turn out in large numbers. PNC has been around, yes, quite some time too, say around, not as long, but not too long after the PPP. But they made some mistakes and they're trying to correct that, I understand. Let's see how they're going to correct that. AFC is relatively new and it's likely they could do well. I don't know. I wouldn't say venture who's going to come out of the right side. It's for the people to decide. You, the voters, will decide of all these parties coming on the scene and presidential candidates. You got to decide the candidate that is most suited for Guyana, the one that could lead Guyana into the future and not the past. Because the future is not going to wait on us. We determine the future. We've allowed too much time to pass us by. You know, you hear about the great resources of this nation. Goes back 60 years ago. We're at, what progress have we made with those resources?
Mm-hmm.
We had some of the best educated people, I would say, in the whole Caribbean. Where are they today? And they were educated the hard way. Very, very hard way. But they made it. But they're not here. And even the University of Guyana now is losing, 80-odd% annually of its graduates going overseas. At the present time, you can't even get skilled craftsmen because they're all leaving to go overseas. So we got to stop this rot, and we could only stop this rot by security, by ensuring that people are secure in their homes, that's the security again. Protection at all times. People feel secure wherever they go, walking in the streets. And gunmen won't turn up all over the place as they do now. And that you need a police force that is always not vigilant, they're vigilant. I wouldn't say they're vigilant. You need a police force that is up and going. But you got to select the right persons for the job, and they must have a good level of education. So indeed, yes, we have a long, long way to go. The final word quickly with you, sir.
We just celebrated Diwali. It fosters unity, and that's our message. Let's work together to make our country, our own Guyanese dream. Let's make our country a better place, not just for our children's future, but our children today. God bless you.
Yes, this is a season of not only goodwill, it's a season of togetherness. Diwali brings people together, irrespective of who you are, and there's no barriers. So, indeed, it's a good note to end the program. And viewers, you have a major task ahead of you, because you're going to have an onslaught of candidates, all coming with ideas, all having good ideas, or think they have good ideas. It's for you to decide who you want as your presidential candidate. And then remember, in this country, as long as the Burnham Constitution is there, the president is the most important person in the land. And why is the most important? You can't touch him, in office or out of office. He's beyond the pale of the law. Mr. Burnham was very thorough when he crafted that constitution. But let's not forget, finally, nothing lasts forever.
True.
Thank you very much, Peter, and all the best. I wish you all the best on the
Thank you.
campaign.